Tornadoes, one of the most violent forces in nature, able to focus the energy of a 10-mile-wide supercell thunderstorm into one supercharged vortex. But just as powerful as tornadoes themselves are the beliefs they spawn in survivors.
There is a supernatural something here from that 1908 tornado.
There's a UFO in the sky right now, just hovering.
Unexplained sightings, legendary creatures.
Did you hear that?
Are these just the strange tales of the few?
What is that?
Or proof of a twister's mythic power? These are the believers whose explorations into folklore and the paranormal begin where the tornado ends. Tornadoes are the result of a massive atmospheric release of energy. The supercell storms that produce the twisters are 6 times more energy dense than hurricanes. And that's just the beginning. Some engineers believe tornadoes could generate as much as 3,000 times the world's current electricity output, making it the most powerful energy source on the planet.
Tornadoes derive their energy eventually going back to how the thunderstorm gets its energy, which is associated with the change of water from gas to liquid and then back to gas again as it evaporates.
Scientists have not yet devised a way to harness the awesome power of a tornado. But UFO researcher Wilbur Allen believes someone or something has beaten them to the punch.
I think UFOs come into a storm front and absorb energy from that indigenous organic energy that's present in a tornado. Once that charge is absorbed by the UFO, they're able to take that energy with them and use it like a refueling station. We look at the data that's reported during storm activity, we see that there's a lot of UFOs in and around a tornado or a violent electrical storm. So we can conclude, based on that amount of energy that's generated by that storm, that extraterrestrials would be trying to harness, if not harvest, that energy.
Straight UFO. There it is. Just hovering.
The term unidentified flying object, or UFO, refers to a mysterious object in the sky that can't be explained scientifically. It's an idea that's been around since the ancients.
A variety of mythologies have flying beings and flying vehicles. If you look at Celtic mythology or Greek mythology, Roman mythology, Native American mythology, they all contain celestial beings.
The most famous UFOs, the Vimana, appear in ancient epic tales from India.
Vimana are celestial aircraft that appear in a variety of ancient Indian writings, generally driven or carrying deities or extraordinary beings. Sometimes they glow and they're gold and they're fantastic. There are different ways that these move. Sometimes it might be something like wind or another kind of power source.
Spanning centuries, continents, and cultures, similar links between tornadoes and UFO propulsion have been drawn.
We have evidence that indicates that these storm fronts, tornadoes especially, are being visited and frequented by UFOs.
A recent tornado in Kokomo, Indiana, may have just the evidence Wilbur needs to support his theory. An unidentified flying object was caught on tape and sent to Wilbur by Indianapolis resident Brandon Billeisen. It was Brandon's first UFO sighting, filmed outside his home, immediately following the November 2013 tornado. In the past 30 years, Indiana averaged 22 tornadoes per year. The worst outbreak in Indiana's history was on April 11, 1965, where at least 10 tornadoes were reported and 137 people lost their lives. Rated an EF2, the tornado Brandon caught on tape had wind speeds that peaked around 120 miles per hour, injuring 5. But even an average-sized vortex like this could produce the energy equivalent of almost 300 gallons of jet fuel.
What is that?
Could the video from Indiana finally be proof positive of Wilbur's theory and confirm the stories of the ancients?
I would safely say that there is an interest between extraterrestrials and tornadoes based on this footage.
Wilbur decides to put a new theory to the test. If a tornado attracts UFOs, could the electrical energy the tornado generates linger long enough to keep the UFOs in the same area? The only way to find out, Wilbur must get to Indiana as quickly as possible and try to document a UFO in the tornado zone. Coming up.
Camera programmed. Look at that. I didn't see those fly by.
I don't know if those are planes or not.
A tornado's power is amazing. They can be fast-striking storms capable of sudden and unpredictable acts of devastation. In fact, the power of a tornado per cubic foot dwarfs any atmospheric force in nature. Their raw power is spawning theories about how tornadoes are powered by electrical charges, and if that energy could be captured. Mankind currently has no way to capture a tornado's energy, but some believe that otherworldly visitors are tapping the power source, and it's been happening for centuries.
The ancient Indian epics talk about a variety of very particular kinds of UFOs. They give them names. Some of them are triple-decker, some of them are double-decker, fit 3 people, some fit 100. They've got different kinds of propulsion systems.
There are some who view these epics as eyewitness accounts of what is still happening in Earth's skies today. One of those believers is ufologist Wilbur Allen, who is on his way to Indianapolis to look into a video he was sent. Filmed by Billeisen in the wake of an EF2 tornado that hit Kokomo, Indiana in 2013.
I looked at Brandon's video and I was extremely impressed by the fact that whatever this object was that he photographed was flying against the wind, and I definitely got a feel for the fact that that object is a UFO. I'm really looking forward to this.
Wilbur plans to test his theory that UFOs gather energy in the aftermath of tornadoes. If the otherworldly visitors are still in the area, he hopes to record a sighting.
Brandon.
Hey.
Wilbur Allen.
Good to meet you.
My pleasure.
All right, come on in. My name's Brandon Billeisen. I live in Noblesville, Indiana, probably about 5 or so miles, 5 to 7 miles away from where tornadoes really hit.
Really impressed with your video. It's absolutely extraordinary.
Thank you. I was a bit in shock, just kind of, trying to process what was going on in my head. I just wasn't expecting that on that day, or ever for that matter, so.
I'd like to see where you were when you shot that video that day.
Okay, great.
Brandon is not a UFO enthusiast and has never filmed anything like this before. But quick access to a cell phone camera made it possible. Cellular technology has become one of the biggest boons to UFO hunters. Claims previously unsupported, now captured with the touch of a finger.
It's kind of right in this area over here. It came down probably about 60, 75 feet.
There's a straight UFO in the sky right now.
It was just moving all over the place, against the wind, just all over. It was a white sphere, clearly had a flight pattern of no aircraft that is man-made that I've ever seen. As far as light, it had a solid green light you could only see at certain angles, but even then it was just a white ball, basically, a white sphere.
Before you actually encountered this object, what were your beliefs on UFOs?
I've never even really thought about it too much, honestly. I would say, a UFO is probably some type of new aircraft that we as people are working on, but this didn't seem like anything that any humans ever
like
made.
A human would make,
Right.
absolutely.
Brandon's video recording raises questions. Could it be a drone or even a satellite?
Before we claim it's unidentified, you got to rule out misinterpretations of normal events, astronomical events, the stars, a satellite, a planet, normal aircraft, fixed-wing, rotary aircraft, meteorological events.
But Wilbur firmly believes there are otherworldly UFOs. And tonight, he will search for evidence over the tornado-damaged area. Wilbur believes the sheer amount of energy released in the tornado zone gives them a good chance of documenting a UFO that's still harvesting energy.
I'm really excited to go hunt for UFOs tonight with Wilbur because I would really like to see one again and to experience what I felt the day when I captured the footage.
Wilbur and Brandon head to nearby Kokomo, Indiana, where the tornado touched down.
Oh, dude, this is a perfect location.
Yeah, this area out here,
It's creepy.
every time the storms come by, there's usually a lot of activity as far as, you know, severe weather in this area.
Brandon shows Wilbur the area near where the tornado touched down.
These are actually perfect conditions for this type of research. I like the fact that there's little light, if any, so we won't have anything that would possibly obscure whatever is going to show up in the frame. Okay, I think this is the spot here, Brandon.
Wilbur picks a central spot with a good view of the sky where he can set up his camera.
I'm going to take a reference shot first. That's my reference frame.
When it comes to seeing at night, cameras have a distinct advantage over the human eye. Whereas eyes don't process additional detail after 10 seconds in the dark, a camera's slow shutter speed can expose even the faintest light. Wilbur sets his camera to take a picture of the sky every second for a few hours. When he plays it back later, the time lapse will reveal anything unusual that appears.
Camera programmed, and I'm going to set it to start.
All right.
Wilbur and Brandon return to the car and carefully watch the skies. After a few hours, they retrieve the camera to check their results.
All right, so what exactly are we looking for?
We're looking for UFOs. Let's take a look at this. Look, something flew by. We got this aircraft. There's our aircraft.
Okay.
So we did capture an object, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's a UFO. I think we need to load this into a computer and take a look at it closely.
All right, sounds good.
Let's do it.
I am excited. I hope we see something.
Just give it a second. Still loading. One aircraft?
Yeah.
Look at that. Did you see those fly by earlier?
No, I didn't.
I didn't see those fly by. Let's run that back.
I don't know if those are planes or not.
I didn't see anything flying toward us.
Directly towards us, yeah.
Whoa! Here it comes. They all of a sudden appeared. They're coming out of nowhere. That's impossible.
That's not a shooting star.
No, it's not. We got UFOs.
Right.
We got UFOs.
Is it lucky coincidence, terrestrial aircraft, or a positive link between unidentified flying objects and tornadoes?
I didn't honestly think that we were going to see anything, and we did, so I was impressed.
I see this object materialized out of nowhere.
The discovery appears to support Wilbur's theory. He says that UFOs use a tornado's electrical charges to harvest energy.
I believe the tornado area in which we're in is a UFO hotspot. We can conclude based on the physical sample that there are UFOs in this area. We got something.
All right.
Yes, we did.
When Florida's next tornado strikes, he'll be back to try and track down the elusive creature. He is just one of the many believers, those who cross paths with disaster and are forever changed in the twisted aftermath of nature's fury.